What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode number 120. And today we're going to talk about the remaining matchups from week one, review the week that was, and move on to week two. With me tonight from Astoria, Queens, it is the Yankee fan that is Jay Ferraro. Jay, how you doing this evening, my friend?
I feel good, fresh off the eclipse at Yankee Stadium with you. Your first trip to the Bronx in over 30 years. You had the 99 burger. You went to Monument Park, and we saw Soto's first pinstripe home run.
It was an amazing, amazing evening. And you know what? We didn't get to see Jesus Luzardo pitch well, but we got to see a three-run bomb from Volpe, three-run bomb from Soto. I got to walk around in Monument Park. It was quite an experience. Yankee Stadium is everything that people say it is. It's all of the grandeur and the history behind all of the things that are the Yankees. I loved it. I had a great time. Can't wait to do it again. Oh, and the 99 burger, really, really good. Absolutely go check that out. Wonderful, wonderful piece of food there. Let's dive right into this thing here and let's kick things off with the matchup that showed us exactly who is going to be number one this week. It was Josh Haber taking on Bobby Russo, and Josh got himself a 15-5 win over Bobby. As I get the screen, here we go. There we are. All right, 15-5 win over Bobby for Josh this week. On Sunday, triples were tied, and Bobby took that. Walks, Bobby had a one walk advantage, and Josh took that. And Josh had a one errors advantage, held on to that one. Very, very slim margin there. As for the close categories, Bobby wins by that triple. He wins by 2 stolen bases and 2 wins. Josh wins by the 2 walks, 3 strikeouts by a batter, and a loss. And they tied initially in errors, but there must be a stat correction. So the only tie is, in fact, in relief appearances at 32. For Josh on his bench this week, he had a quite outstanding 4 for 49, Jay.
I mean, that's pretty darn good. I'm not going to be doing the math like Benny, but I mean, when you look at something like that, and guys I know like Verdugo and Duran had a bunch of steals, didn't put up the type of numbers Josh would have liked to still put up a 15-5 beatdown on Bobby in week one, 2 teams that were playoff teams a year ago. That's saying something. Josh came out of the gates hot.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. The 4 for 49 sits at an 082 batting average. 5 runs, a double, a homer, 4 RBIs, 4 walks, and 10 strikeouts. None of that, in fact, does play because he won all of those categories. For his moves this week, we talked about the trade that happened between Griffin Jax and Nate Eovaldi. We've got him dropping Justin Topa for Dane Dunning, dropping Devin Williams for Miguel Castro, adding Ryan Thompson as well, adding Travis d'Arnaud. And then toward the end here, started to stack up for this second week matchup here. Adds Justin Slayton for Jordan Leisure, Victor Scott II for Travis d'Arnaud off of waivers, dropped Brennan Bernardino for Ricky Tiedemann, Justin Slayton for Matthew Liberatore, and Dane Dunning for Seth Martinez. Bunch of relievers and some SP eligible guys coming to his squad here for week 2. His MVP this week, who else but, in fact, Mookie Betts this week. It was a week to remember. 386 average, a 518 on base percentage, Jay, with 16 runs, 3 doubles, a triple, 5 homers, 11 RBIs, a steal, 12 walks, 7 strikeouts, 2 errors. Holy shit, what a week.
Yeah, what a week. And we're going to be saying that a lot. And now that I'm looking at this a little closer, I misspoke on Duran. Duran, 349 with the 404. Damn, that's pretty good for him. And I mean, you know, the thing that jumps out here is when you look at his ERA and his pitching stats across the board, Joe, he did that without the Nathan Eovaldi 2 dope starts that Mike had against me this week. And I misspoke when we broke that trade down because I was like, I'm glad Jax is not on Mike's squad. But now I wish Navaldi was still on Josh's squad. I guess that's neither here nor there, but that just speaks to what Josh did with his pitching. And then, wow, Mookie Betts, I mean, he's going to be his MVP a lot of weeks. This is a dirty team. We talked about it before the season started. And it's going to be interesting to see now what, utility / right field looks like with Hayes out the door for his second week. But you guys will all break that down next week.
Oh, yeah. As for this week, the least valuable hitter is going to be Alex Verdugo with his 107 and 219, but he did have 4 walks and only struck out twice. So if you're going to have somebody be the worst guy on your team, at least he only struck out 2 times. The Cy Young this week, Darvish or Gilbert or Kelly or Jansen or who knows. It was quite an incredible week. 3 saves out of Jansen. Logan Gilbert, a 7-inning, 8 strikeout, 1 earned run performance. Darvish, 15 2/3 to a 230 with 16 strikeouts. It's just an incredible pitching week overall, pitching to a 166 and an 089. If we have to pick one person who's the Cy Young this week, it is Miguel Castro. Miguel Castro was not great this week. 4 1/3, a 623, gave up a bomb, 2 strikeouts, a 115 across 4 relief appearances. Oh, well, he still won most of the pitching categories, so take for that what it is. As for
Logan
Bobby
Gilbert,
on his...
No, Logan Gilbert, I mean, with all the injuries around baseball, we had this guy in the second tier, of course, going into draft day. But, Joe, I mean, maybe the term ace has to be a little more fluid going forward with the way pitching is now in Major League Baseball, innings, what have you. Logan Gilbert's an ace. Logan Gilbert is a straight up ace.
He's not missing a single start, and that's the one thing you will want out of any starting pitcher this year is a guy who can give you innings and give you 25 to 30 starts every year. This guy has done it year over year. Yeah, maybe we do have to consider him one of the fantasy aces going into the 25 season, especially if he's able to put up another full season of really good numbers like he has in the past. Over on Bobby's squad, he goes 18 for 80 on his bench this week. It's a lot, but it's only a 225 batting average, 10 runs, 5 doubles, a homer, 8 RBIs, 2 steals, 7 walks, 24 strikeouts, and an error. Yeah, 1 error. The 10 runs would have been helpful. The 5 doubles would have tied the category. 8 RBIs still wouldn't have gotten him close. And the 2 steals, he won that category. So the 7 walks is probably a little frustrating as well when he loses that by 2, but he ran into a really, really strong team this week. And I think it's indicative of the final score, but I don't think this is indicative of how bad Bobby's team is going to be this year. What say you?
Oh, absolutely not. No way. And Bobby got his triple on Sunday, so it doesn't look like a 16-4. No, this is closer across the board, even though the number's gaudy right now. But no, this if you told me right now Bobby was a playoff team, I couldn't discount that. I couldn't say you were wrong. So, I mean, Josh now sits in first place after this one, and Bobby will work his way back up. Some of that stuff on the bench no doubt would have played, but I think the saving grace here, that triple, nothing like a triple on a Sunday, and he got it. So good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. As for his moves this week, only 6 used. Adds Gregory Soto and Nate Pearson. Drops Emilio Pagan for Kyle Stowers. Drops and adds Dinelson Lamet after he got a save for the Dodgers. Unfortunately, that guy then got placed on, got designated for assignment. So he is now back on the waiver wire for Luke Raley, and then dropped Nate Pearson for Joely Rodriguez. All 6 used. His MVP this week is going to go to Stephen Kwan. Stephen Kwan had a really nice week this week. 349 with a 364 on base, 10 runs, 2 doubles, a homer, 3 RBIs, a steal, a walk, 7 strikeouts, and an error. The least valuable hitter this week goes to Who the hell's Crawford on his team? JP Crawford, 128 with a 209, 4 runs, a homer, 3 RBIs, 3 walks, 9 strikeouts, and an error. On the pitching side, the Cy Young goes to Michael King. Did have 11 walks. That's pretty ugly. Logan Webb was also quite good as well. 13 innings, only 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, a 2.77 and a 1.31. The Cy Young, Joel Piamps wasn't great. He took a loss across 2 relief appearances with a 27 ERA. I also don't really love Bobby Miller's first week here, a 5.87 with a 1.17. But did have a very nice 14 strikeouts across 7 2/3. That was really, really nice.
Yeah, and first I want to talk about the Lamet move. I mean, when he made that move coming off the save, SP eligible, I thought, smart, Bobby, really smart on the Dodgers. And then you blinked and the Dodgers sent him away. And that's becoming a theme across baseball. You could pitch well in an outing. You could earn a weirdo save and you still might be designated for assignment. So it's just, I wasn't expecting you to just be chugging a Wawa. I see. Sorry. So I got what Bobby was doing there. It didn't work, but it's just very interesting and something that we're all going to have to be paying closer attention to as the season goes on, because the way relievers are being flipped out, Major League Baseball is actually like the bigs now. So we'll have to see. And, you know, when it comes to his hitters, it doesn't surprise me Stephen Kwan had such a good week. Stephen Kwan is the perfect bigs player. JP Crawford, that stinks for Bobby. And I think the major concern there that first opening week was Rodriguez struggled. And JP Crawford's success is on the heels of what Julio Rodriguez does. And I know he's already starting to adjust his swing, and I know he's on Kostas' team, but when it comes to Julio Rodriguez, Joe, I feel as though too many people are in his ear always. You got to be this guy. You got to be that guy. You got to hit 50 home runs and steal 50 bases. He's an all-world talent, Joe, but if he could just relax and people would get off him, a 30 for 30 guy in this day and age would be brilliant. I feel as though Julio Rodriguez is being asked too much by everybody, and he's not just able to go out there and play in his third season.
Yeah, it's a shame that he's struggling so early, and the Mariners are certainly tied to him for basically the next 15 years of their franchise is tied to this guy. He did just reach here in the 6th inning against, who the hell is that? Yusei Kikuchi on the mound. So I just worry that the Mariners aren't going to build around him and put a whole bunch of like we've said, 2 and 6 hitters around him rather than somebody who could really clean things up around him.
Yeah, it's true. He needs another beast around him to relax a little bit, and that will just improve JP at the top. But yeah, across the board, that guy, I'm such a fan of Julio Rodriguez. I just want to see him get it right, and I want us to be able to enjoy it.
Yeah. JP Crawford will be a nice piece for Bobby to have this year, so long as Julio is knocking him in somewhere in the neighborhood of 50, 60 times this year. That would be really nice. Let's move on to the next matchup here, Jay, and we're going to talk about Frank Bucco taking on Kostas Paragios. It is one of those matchups that is becoming quite the rivalry in the bigs. And this week, Frank gets the 12-9 victory over Kostas this week. Close categories this week. Frank wins by 2 steals. He wins by 2 home runs given up by a pitcher. Kostas wins by 2 saves, a walk given up by a pitcher, and 2 ticks on the whip. On Sunday, it looks like there were quite a few changes here. Kostas had a 1 stolen base advantage, and Frank flipped that. Home runs given up by a pitcher were tied, and Kostas ended up losing that, but taking strikeouts away from Frank, as Frank took a 3 strikeout advantage into Sunday. The one thing I will point out here, the 68 runs scored by Frank ties the all-time bigs record for any matchup. 68 runs scored ties that record. So congratulations to Frank for that one.
My goodness, that is a lot of runs. That is a lot of runs.
It's a lot of runs, isn't it? Even over 11 days, it's more than 6 a day. Like, it is just ridiculous. For Frank on his bench this week, he goes 9 for 38. That's a 237 batting average, 2 doubles, 6 RBIs, 3 walks, and 9 strikeouts. None of it plays. He was quite good in locking down the offensive statistics against Kostas this week. As for his moves this week, he added Hurston Waldrop. He dropped Robert Stevenson for Casey Mize. He then made the trade with you, Jay, Jackson Holliday, and Ryan Presley for Anthony Volpe and Bryce Miller. I think it's ironic that we are now here on Jackson Holliday, that he is getting the call and batting 9th for the Orioles today. What an incredible, just sort of nice little bow to put on the end of this. He also added Adam Duvall. He picked up Orlando Arcia and then dropped Orlando Arcia for Kevin Biggio. Interesting enough that he traded away Kevin Biggio by the end of this week as well. He dropped Aaron Bummer for Tyler Matzik. Dropped Shane Baz for Luis Heel. Dropped Casey Mize for Michael Wacha, 7-inning shutout appearance against the Chicago White Sox. John Brebbia gets dropped for Bryce Elder, and Hurston Waldrop for Elvis Peguero. 9 ads used overall. Any one of those that you like there?
I like a lot of what Frank did with his ads this week. And the heel one, that might just be brilliant, because with this Yankee offense, with this Yankee pen, and he's pitched extremely well, I really like that he brought that guy into the mix, especially when you look at Frank. I mean, he loses Steele. I mean, there's so many things that I like about Frank's week. I mean, I'm going to cheat it because I know you're going to ask me at the end. Frank is my manager of the week. He truly is, because he loses Justin Steele. He brings in Barrios in another deal. That can't be lost on all this. You know, he wins a lot of these categories with Steele going down. Then some of these moves on the wire are brilliant. Wacha is an excellent find there against the White Sox. And then this deal we made, when you look at him doing all that with runs scored, he had no runs from this deal, because all the runs I got from Volpe were gone. Jackson Holliday sat in his NA spot. So that's what makes this win by Frank even more brilliant. I mean, this is the manager of the week, hands down, because this was a dominant performance and getting nothing out of that deal, because Ryan Presley was bad, right? And Josh Hader wasn't that good either. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm really impressed with Frank did here. And you know he's not done with things that he could accomplish here. So to come out the gate, get 12 wins against Kostas without Steele being involved, with no Jackson Holliday. And I'm so happy, Joe, you brought it up. I'm so happy Jackson Holliday has been called up and is going to be playing for Frank here in the middle of week 2. I wished him well today. I hope Jackson Holliday kills it. Colton Cowser batting 7th. We'll talk about that another time. But
oh yeah,
it's interesting that both those guys, same day. Well done, Frank. My manager of the week.
Good job, Frank. And it was a great week for him. His most valuable hitter this week is Tyler O'Neill, 357 with a 514 on base, 12 runs, 5 homers, 5 RBIs, a steal, 7 walks, and 6 strikeouts. Tyler O'Neill, what?
Right. Yeah.
Go figure. Go figure. His least valuable hitter, Tristan Casas, 237 with a 326 on base, 5 runs, a double, a homer, 3 RBIs, 5 walks, 12 strikeouts, and an error. I guess we're holding against the all the strikeouts against him when he loses that category by 18. The Cy Young this week isn't any of the big names that we mentioned on this team. It's instead a young man by the name of Jordan Hicks. 12 innings, a win, a walk, 11 strikeouts, an 0.75 and an 0.75 whip. And yeah, you mentioned it. The Cy Young is in fact Ryan Presley, who had a 20.25 ERA and a 3.38 whip across 4 relief appearances. Not what you want out of your guy that you're trading for. But realistically, he's getting a whole nother wave of awesome here with Jackson Holliday coming onto this team. today. He had to wait 10 days ish
Right.
for this to materialize. It could have been a whole lot worse. So it's good on him that he's got this dude for the rest of the year now.
Oh yeah, the fire in his belly going down there in AAA and what he was able to accomplish, and then just seeing it when he was getting, the news in the locker room that he was getting called up. Forget about it. I mean, this is going to be an insane addition to Frank's team, and I wish him well. I hope this trade works out for the both of us in the end. I truly do. And Barrios, an absolute monster for him to add. And not only did he not have Jackson Holiday in this matchup, for a good portion of it, he was rocking an NA guy, a Brave starter on his bench. So he was playing shorthanded as well. Mm-hmm. So that's some. Pay attention, folks. Pay attention.
Yeah, Frank's come to play this year. Watch out. He's gonna be a force to reckon with here. For Kostas on his bench this week, he goes 6 for 33. That's a 182 average with a run, a homer, 3 RBIs, 4 walks, and 8 strikeouts. Nothing to really write home about there. As for his moves this week, he added Chad Green and Garrett Crochet. Garrett Crochet got dropped off of Jimmy's squad, and that was quite a surprising drop, as great as he was against both Detroit and Atlanta. He dropped Jake Bird for Lamont Wade, dropped Lamont Wade for Dylan Tate, dropped Griffin Canning for JJ Bleday, 1 for 3 with a 2-run homer and 2 walks. He then says goodbye to Yuri Perez as he's about to have Tommy John surgery. He then picked up Jordan Weems, drops Andrew Nardi, drops Whit Merrifield for David Fry, and Julian Merriweather for Jared Triolo. He used 9 of the 10 ads. His MVP this week is Christian Yelich. Yelich had himself a heck of a year, especially last year, and a heck of a week this week. A 348 with a 400, 5 runs, 3 homers, 4 RBIs, 2 steals, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter this week, Francisco Lindor, who is no longer on the squad. A 103 with a 212, 3 runs, a double, a homer, and RBI, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts, and an error. That's an interesting one. Trading off Francisco Lindor and George Kirby, his 2nd and 3rd round picks to go get Matt Olson. What do you think about that?
I like it. I think it was the right call for him. He wanted to bring some more power into the club, and he did that. And it lined up perfectly because we'd all know how much Jason loves Francisco Lindor. So I think it was a good call. Now, trading George Kirby certainly hurts after you're getting nothing out of Yuri Perez. But you know what? To get, you got to give. And I know the deal was bigger with O'Neal Cruz and Josh Outman and McCormick. It was such an interesting deal. I had to read it a few times at Yankee Stadium on opening day to see which side of the deal I liked more. Right now, I think I got to give the edge a little bit to Kostas because of the amount of power he's getting with Olson off that year. But, I mean, certainly a deal. We know how much Jason didn't like his team. Certainly a deal I think right now both clubs are happy that they made. And George Kirby, look, I mean, the 19 walks from a year ago, forget about it. That's brilliant. Jason is getting, just like we talked about with Logan Gilbert, George Kirby is another fantasy ace.
Yeah. Yeah, he very well could morph into this really incredibly control-savvy ace that can anchor a staff, and Jason got him in that deal. I agree with you. I like the deal a little bit more for Kostas, but we'll break that down more next week. For Kostas' Cy Young, it is Garrett Crochet, 18 innings, a win, a loss, 2 bombs, a walk, 21 big strikeouts, 2 ERA, and an 0.67 off the waiver wire. Folks, that's how you get things done here in the bigs. You find the gold on the waiver wire, Garrett Crochet. The Cy Young goes to Anthony Nardi, 21.60 ERA and a 3.30 whip across 4 relief appearances. It's 3 1/3 innings. Gross. Frank looking strong after week 1, but Kostas has nothing to hang his hat about. He ran into quite the offensive juggernaut this week. So we've seen a pitching juggernaut in Josh, who stands atop the standings. We've seen an offensive juggernaut in Frank, who could be a force to be reckoned with here as the year goes on. Which one of these teams do you like more after 1 week, Jay?
It's Frank's team. It's definitely Frank's team. And Kostas has done nice things going into week 2. That trade we talked about and those ads, he had some smart ads early. Look, when the White Sox told us they were putting that guy in the rotation, we all went, so what? Okay, great. I don't want him. And Kostas said, well, let me try. And he did. And he was absolutely brilliant for him. Maybe if that's not there, this is even a bigger of a beatdown. So Kostas tried and it worked, and good on him. But yeah, to answer your question, it's Frank. And the other thing I want to bring up, though, this Nardi drop. If the Marlins weren't possibly the worst team in Major League Baseball, and it's not going to get better anytime soon, this guy who's potentially next in line for saves with the Marlins would not still be floating around in free agency. The way we are attracted to relief pitchers in the bigs, it's surprising. I certainly thought about it. I know you thought about it, but the Marlins just stink so badly, and there's so many weird saves happening. It's a little surprising, but that's what's going on in Major League Baseball right now.
Yeah, it's like the fish forgot that they headed south for after spring training, and they're just a little bit rotten right now. They're stinking pretty bad, and it's not going to get any easier tonight with them facing Marcus Stroman against the Yankees again. So, going to be a little bit. They've got to get their act together. This playoff team from last year. Speaking of playoff teams from last year, one of them took a very surprising loss in week 1. That's going to be Henry Collins, who took an 11-9 loss from our brand new manager, Cody Piatt. Let's have a conversation about this one. As far as Sunday is concerned, home runs were tied going into Sunday, and Cody took that one down. And that was the only stat that changed on Sunday. So close categories this week. Cody wins by the 2 triples. He wins by a home run. He wins by less than 1 tick on the whip. For Henry this week, he wins by 2 errors and a home run given up by a pitcher. They did tie in doubles. For Cody on his bench this week, he goes 11 for 42, which is a pretty solid 262. 8 runs, 3 doubles, a triple, an RBI, a steal, 6 walks, and 12 strikeouts. Not all that often you're going to see triples on the bench, but he did leave one here. He still had 5 in the lineup, Jay.
Look, you and I talked about this at Yankee Stadium the other day. We're going to need a bigger boat. Cody is an absolute shark, folks. He's a shark. He's going for a playoff spot. This guy is good. When you think about this was his first experience in the bigs against a manager who was a playoff team a year ago, to win this 11-9 when he was learning our bullpen craziness on the fly. And not only that, we're going to get to it, the moves he made along the way during the week, picking up on some mistakes that were made. Cody is a shark, and we see you, Cody.
Yeah. Oh, I see you after 1 week, sir. After 1 week, we see you. Gavin Williams is the ad. Junior Caminero is an ad. He dropped Gavin Williams for Victor Scott. He drops Danny Colomb for Michael Grove. Drops Matt Wallner for Josh Fleming. He used Josh Fleming this week, boys. Josh Fleming hit his team. That was a guy we talked about a lot last year as a sort of cheat code out of the bullpen with SP eligibility. Cody found him in the first week. You dropped Phil Maton for Alex Kirilloff, dropped Michael Wacha on waiver claimed Bailey Ober. He dropped Michael Grove for Alec Marsh, dropped Brandon Drury for Jared Walsh. That's an interesting combination. Marsh, Drury, Walsh. Try to say those 3 names quickly. And finally finished it off. Yeah. Finished it off by dropping Josh Fleming for Ernie Clement. He used 8 of the 10 ads. His MVP this week is Michael Harris, though it could have been quite a few guys. Alex Kirilloff had 2 triples. Gunnar Henderson had a triple. But Michael Harris, 344 with a 400, 7 runs, a double, a triple, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, 3 walks, and 8 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is Vinny Pasquantino a 138 with a 244, 4 runs, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts. Vinny P. Need to pick it up this week for him, huh, Jay?
He certainly does. But let's talk about some of these ads. Look, he's on top of everything. To go get Victor Scott, look, we all thought about it when we heard the news, but Cody was the one that said, I'm going to try it. I'm going to do it. Let's see if I could tap into some of that stolen base potential. Went to get that guy, beat everybody to it. So it doesn't matter who was thinking about it. That just needs everything I need to know that he went to get that guy. But the Bailey Ober waiver claim, this one I did think about, and I hemmed and hawed on it. This was a mistake by Henry to drop this guy as quickly as he did. No disrespect, Henry, but now he falls on Cody's team. And Cody and I were joking about this because his first start on that team was supposed to be Sunday, I believe, against the Guardians. Then there was the rain out. It turned out to be Monday against the Dodgers. Of course, you benched that guy. Ober struck out 7 Dodgers that day and was brilliant. This was a huge waiver wire grab by Cody, Joe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think Cody's going to be one of those guys we're going to see at the end of the year just put together an unbelievable squad from waiver claims and free agent pickups. This guy is, look, he's a shark, and he's already made a hell of a trade as well. So we'll talk about that next week as well. The Cy Young this week is Reed Detmers with an exclamation point. 11 innings, 2 wins, 4 walks, 19 strikeouts, a 164 and an 082. Reed Detmers on the terrible Los Angeles Angels outshines the Cy Young, which is Mitch Keller. 11 innings, a loss, a homer, 4 walks, 8 strikeouts, a 6.55 and a 173 on the whip. Reed Detmers, Jay, how you feeling about that guy?
I mean, good for Cody. Not somebody that I would have put on my squad, but 19 Ks? Wow. You know, that's what you're all fishing for in the later rounds. And it's a name we've heard about for a long time about what his potential could be. So, long week, 19 Ks out of that guy. Not too bad.
Yeah. And if he takes a big step forward and becomes another piece in this rotation that he found off of waivers, there it is. It's Cody
And the
being the
Shark's
shark
not
that
done,
he is.
Joe. I know the Shark's not done. He's bringing the heat to the league, which was a terrible line, but that's the name of his podcast. And he's a friggin' shark.
Yeah. We're going to need a bigger boat. Henry needed one this week. He went 13 for 78 on his bench. That's a 167 batting average. 6 runs, 4 doubles, 2 homers, 11 RBIs, 9 walks, and 25 strikeouts. His moves this week, only 4 of them. He did make the trade with Clark Schmidt for Ryan Presley. We talked about that. He added Nolan Shanuel, added Ryan Jeffers, did drop Bailey Ober and Ryan Jeffers, picked up J.D. Davis and Kyle Gibson. Kyle Gibson, 6 innings, a loss, 2 bombs, a walk, 5 strikeouts, a 10.50, and a 133 in what is currently the only Miami Marlins win on the season. His MVP this week is Bobby Witt. 350 with a 409 on base, 7 runs, 5 doubles, a triple, 2 homers, 2 RBIs, 2 steals, 3 walks, 11 strikeouts, and the error. The least valuable hitter is Pete Alonso, 184 with a 225, 5 runs, 2 homers, 3 RBIs, a walk, and 10 big strikeouts. Pete Alonso not getting it done for Henry here in the first week.
No, he did not. Bobby Witt being his MVP, that's going to be most weeks. I love that Bobby fell. Was it the 11th overall? 12th maybe? I forget how it figured out. I think you were 12. I think Henry was 11. That was brilliant. Yeah, he's going to need guys like, Pete Alonso. We'll see. That guy strikes out a lot. He's feast or famine. But when he does hit them and there's guys on base, it's certainly going to help his club. But look, he got run over, not run over, but he got beaten by a rookie manager this week. And I'm sure Henry's paying attention to that in his second week. And this Clark Schmidt, Ryan Presley deal, it almost feels like a 3-team deal now because Ryan Presley never even played on my team for a day. So it's very interesting. And that'll be a nice piece for him, a starter on the Yankees for the rest of the year.
Oh, yeah. And he put up a decent line this week of 466 with a 166 over 2 starts and 9 2/3. It was fine, nothing that's going to shake the world. But the guy who did shake the world, his Cy Young, was Clay Holmes, who got 4 saves in 5 relief appearances and a win in the 5th one. So he made every single one of his relief appearances matter. Each one of them was an inning. So 5 innings, a win, 4 saves, two strikeouts only. The Cy Young is in fact Bailey Ober and his terrible start against the Dodgers.
Well,
it's just disappointing that this guy now sits on his opponent's team and his opponent helped him beat him.
Wow. And he's got Verlander on the Mets. So that's, things are happening. But his pen was good. When you look at those numbers from the pen, a lot of nice numbers, a lot of clean numbers there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? We're going to see Henry beat a lot of teams this week. So let's not think for one second that he's in any kind of trouble here.
No.
This is just a matter of one team being just slightly better than the other. And Cody, for what it's worth, he was down big in the middle of the week and made a steady comeback as the week continued on.
Yeah, not to pile on. I mean,
watch out for the Shark. Watch out for the damn Shark.
I mean, it was 11-9, and this was a playoff team a year ago. It's more that the one drop we wish maybe was on our squad, and the idea that a rookie manager beat a playoff manager. That's all. I mean, Henry's going to be fine. He's got Bobby Witt on this team, so he's okay.
He'll be just fine. But this is one exciting upset in week 1. Finally, we will move to the final matchup of this week that we're highlighting. It is, in fact, Adam Lowenstein taking down a 13-7 win over Bryan Lebo this week. As for Sunday, we had quite a few things change. Errors were tied, and Adam took 2 of those, so Bryan takes the category. Innings pitched, Adam had a 1 innings pitched advantage. You cannot believe for one second that a 1 inning pitch advantage is ever safe against Bryan Lebo. This is one of the guys who is going to max out as much innings as he possibly can every single week, and that showed. He led the league with 109 1/3 over the first week, and he did win that category. He also then tied wins, and because of all of that, did end up losing walks given up by a pitcher. He actually had that category was tied going in, and he ended up giving up 4 walks to lose that category. Finally, so for the close categories, Lebo wins by 3 home runs. He wins by I opened up the wrong screen. Hang on.
Just technical difficulties, Gmail. Everybody.
Right? I'm still getting used to the layout of in the format of how I have to lay out my screen in order to do this one man. So it's fun and exciting all at the same time. Lebo wins by 3 home runs, an error, a loss, and 2 relief appearances. Adam wins by 3 runs, a stolen base, a strikeout by a pitcher, and 1 tick on the whip. They tied in wins. For Adam on his bench this week, he goes 9 for 30. That's a clean 300. 3 runs, 3 doubles, a triple, an RBI, a steal, 3 walks, and 8 strikeouts. He used 9 big moves. Let me see which one of these jump out at you. He added Robbie Ray and Jeffrey Springs. He added he dropped Wade Miley for Devin Williams. And then dropped Tom Cosgrove for Jose Hernandez, and then dropped Jose Hernandez for Ryan Barucki. He added Orlando Arcia for Ahmed Rosario, dropped Jeffrey Springs for Tom Cosgrove, and then dropped Tom Cosgrove for Michael A. Taylor. So it's 2 wasted moves in a week of Jose Hernandez and Tom Cosgrove in the same day. He dropped Mark Canha for Fernando Cruz, dropped Fernando Cruz for Tom Cosgrove again, and finally finished it off dropping Michael A. Taylor for Steven Matz. 5-inning win with nothing earned against Miami because Miami is poop right now. 9.
So are we paying attention, Joe? Are we paying attention? If a starter is going up against the Marlins, unless you're Kyle Gibson, you got to start him. It doesn't matter who it is. If it's a single A guy coming up for his cup of coffee and then getting sent back down, you just got to do it. And this pitching matchup is art. Aside from the saves, everything here is so close and so darn good. I mean, I'm
Mm-hmm.
really impressed with this matchup and how these two went back and forth with their chess match here. And let's face it, I'm playing Bryan this week. We talked about this morning, Bryan and myself. I mean, when you have Burns and you have Glass now in your rotation, isn't that the best 1-2 in the bigs?
It is. It has to be. It has to be the best 1-2 in the bigs right now with all of the injuries that are going on. And he gets these. One is a modicum of health in Corbin Burns, and the other, though he has an extensive injury history, is healthy right now and balling out for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So until one of those two goes down or somebody else gets a 1-2 that's healthy together and balling out at this level, yeah, he's got the best 1-2 punch in the bigs right now.
And because he was healthy when all the ILs hit, he
Mm-hmm.
was able to put Robbie Ray and Devin Williams on his squad. And
Mm-hmm.
that is a perfect combination to be sitting in your IL spot. He saw
Yes.
those guys on the wire, and he acquired two of the better guys on the wire.
Yes. Yeah. For Adams MVP this week, we're going to talk about Logan O'Hoppe. 407 with a 484 on base, 4 runs, a double, a triple, a homer, 6 RBIs, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts. His least valuable hitter is Bo Bichette, a 185 with a 313, 2 runs, 3 doubles, 3 RBIs, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts, 2 big errors. That's not going to get it done here. The Cy Young is going to be great. Let's talk about Nick Pivetta real quick because I do want to highlight unfortunate circumstances when they arise. But this
Right.
week, 11 innings, a win, a loss, a homer, a walk, 13 strikeouts, and 082. I talked about this dude in the preseason. I thought he was going to ball out for the Boston Red Sox, and now he's got elbow problems, and he's gone.
I mean, it's a shame. Over 180 Ks a year ago, and he was just coming out of the gate, just balling. And yeah, another guy hits the IL. It absolutely stinks. I mean, a lot of the starters you were talking about, and I know Framber, I don't even want to bring that up because I know how much that hurts you. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it stinks what's going on around baseball. And now another young guy under the knife who just came out balling like Shane Bieber. It's a shame. It's a real shame. But yeah, this was another guy. And I actually want to bring up Bo Bichette too, because when
Yeah.
we were filming all our content for Stacking Commons for our IG page, anytime I would bring up Bo Bichette, you'd go, yeah, but this. And you'd say how he had to have a good September to put up numbers and the stolen bases aren't there. You were always wary of this guy. And okay, it's one long week. So
Yeah.
things could change. And Bo Bichette's going to be a baller for him with Altuve and with Freeman. You would take that 1-2-3 all day. But Bo Bichette needed to give him some more coming out of the gate here. But Arcia, Joe, that was a guy who kept hitting opening week. And I kept thinking to myself, why is this guy? I think he was on Frank's team for like 1 second, but then didn't even play that day and got
Mm-hmm.
immediately dropped. And he had a good day that day, Arcia. This
Mm-hmm.
was a really smart move by Bryan on that Braves team. He's going to get a lot of at bats for Bryan, I think, along the way, unless he starts to cool off. He's not going to keep this up, perhaps. But the starting shortstop for the Braves on the wire for that long, Bryan scooped him up, and he was rewarded.
Smart move. Smart move by Bryan. Way to get a piece of that Atlanta lineup. Yeah, Bo Bichette, his numbers are there, and you'll look at his overall line over the last 2 seasons ago. He's been good. But in order to do that, he had to have torrid second halves and especially torrid September in 2022 in order to make things as good as they are. So he might be a slow starter. This is certainly indicative of that, though he does have a hit today, so that's a plus. The
Yeah,
uh,
no,
the Cy Young on Adams' team is in fact the guy he just traded away in Kevin Gossman, 5 2/3,
Shark,
a loss,
Shark.
3 bombs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, a 953 to 141. Way to buy low on Kevin Gossman. Good job.
You know, Cody talked to his podcast partner right before the trade and was like, you know what? Gossman's ERA is almost 10. I'm going to go get him. I'm
I'm
going to
gonna
go
go
get
get
him.
him, and I'm gonna give up this dude who just had 2 no hitters.
Right. I know that's next week's show, but I hope, hey, look, I hope that guy is good for Bryan. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes,
and now, we'll
for
see. And
Adams.
he's on the
For Adam.
Astros.
Adams getting him.
Oh, Adams getting him. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
So Adams getting him. And I mean, he looks good. He's on the Astros. But yeah.
And it looks like his job is safe now with Framber going down. Like they're going to need arms in
Right.
that rotation. So even when Justin Verlander comes back, that doesn't bump him out of the rotation right now.
Sure doesn't. And, JP France hasn't looked great. He's looked serviceable. I mean, he's a streamer in the bigs and he's on the Astros. So that's all you need to know. So his job certainly isn't safe.
Yeah. As for Mr. Lebo's bench this week, he goes 20 for 89. That's a 225 batting average, 11 runs, 3 doubles, a homer, 5 RBIs, a steal, 11 walks, and 26 big strikeouts. He did use all 10 ads. Added Kyle Gibson, dropped Jock Peterson for Dominic Canzone, added somebody named Jake Latz. Dropped Ryan McMahon for Brandon Lau, 2 for 5 with a homer and 4 RBIs a day. Picked him up. Good job, Brian. Good job. Dropped Kyle Gibson for Tommy Henry. Dropped Dominic Canzone for Zach Short. Dropped Tommy Henry for Colin Ray and Zach Short for Hunter Stratton. Hobie Milner gets dropped for Drew Smith. Brandon Lau for Gio Urshela and finishes it out, dropping Jake Latz for Dakota Hudson. He did, in fact, use all 10. His MVP this week is going to be, let's call it Yordan Alvarez. 256 with a 341, 6 runs, a double, 3 homers, 6 RBIs, 5 walks, and 6 big strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is a guy that's no longer on the squad. It is, in fact, Chris Bryant. 111 with a 111, a run, a homer, 2 RBIs, and 5 strikeouts. Chris Bryant's a free agent right now, Jay. And I was having a conversation with Mike Haber and Jason Ashby before we got started here. Is he the largest fall from grace of a player that was once an MVP and rookie of the year and like basically the face of baseball at one point a few years ago? And now, either due to a lack of care or a lack of care for his body, he's unable to be on the field and produce anything for this terrible Rockies team.
It's hard to say, but when you talk about World Series MVP, Rookie of the Year on the Cubbies, yeah, I mean, he brings a championship. What I take away from it is I think this drop was absolutely correct. I didn't even think he was a rosterable guy, to be honest with you, post-draft. And the Cubbies were right to let him go once the contract was up. This is a shame for Chris Bryant, but it's just the landscape of baseball right now. It is a real big fall from grace. I'm not comfortable saying it's the biggest fall, but it's certainly one in our lifetime, and especially in the last, decade. It changed very quickly. But it proves a point where just around baseball right now, and it's funny how actual Major League Baseball is starting to mimic the bigs in a lot of ways. So tip of the cap to Benny with relief pitchers, but it's the same thing with offensive pieces. And when we broke down Mike Sherman's team, and I know I'm jumping way back, we talked about DJ LeMahieu. I said on the show, I was like, he might drop this guy. This guy might be a droppable guy. Today, the other day, he hits the wire. Austin Hayes hit the wire today. From Josh's team, looks like Colton Cowser is going to be getting those at bats. So, and that's what I wanted to see after draft day, to be honest with you, because I had drafted Colton Cowser and it hurt my heart to have to send him to the wire. But I digress. So my point is, like, if a guy isn't producing, offensively speaking, we're starting to see it now in the bigs. Austin Hayes, Chris Bryant, you got to say goodbye. DJ LeMahieu, you got to go get those W's if you want to make the playoffs in the bigs.
No doubt. No doubt. You got to have a squad full of murderers row, and Chris Bryant just isn't it anymore. For Brian's Cy Young this week, we're going to talk about Tyler Glasnow. 17 innings, 2 wins, 2 homers, 7 walks, 15 strikeouts, a 3.18, an 0.88, and I thought he was dealing today, but I guess that might have been yesterday. But yeah, he is as healthy as can be for now, and we'll see how long it lasts. Listen, if he puts up 180 innings and goes out and gets Cy Young votes, this is going to be an incredible grab. And you're right that this, along with Corbin Burns, right now is the best 1-2 in the league.
And you've called it out many times, Hunter Green as your 3, that's
Mm-hmm.
appropriate for Hunter Green,
Yes.
and McKenzie as well. So, those are 2 3s, traditional 3s, and that's exactly where they should be. And you're right.
Mm-hmm.
No, Glass now, I'm facing Bryan this week. Glass now tore up the Twins last night, tore up the Twins.
You know who got tore up for Bryan was Bowden Francis of the Toronto Blue Jays. He got 2 starts out of him, 8 1/3, 2 losses, 4 bombs, 4 walks, 12 strikeouts, a 12.96 and a 1.92. This is the dude who's taken this spot for, I believe it was for Alek Manoah, who is, I believe, injured or in the minors or not good or all of the above. Regardless, doesn't matter. Bowden Francis wasn't good either. Jay, it's a big win for Adam this week. It's a 13-7, which puts him in 3rd place going into week number 2. But Bryan's got himself a squad here that's definitely going to compete this year, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not sure there's a particular squad I would look at and go, oh, I don't think that team has a chance, because what we could
Right.
do on the wire, and there's a lot more trades to happen. I mean, I know Jason and I are already up against it with 3, which I'm surprised that I even made 3 up until this point. But no, Adams squad, Bryan's squad, these guys are just getting started. And when you think about one of these squads having Devin Williams and potentially Robbie Ray in the second half to go into that Giants rotation with Snell and Webb, that's nice. That's
Hell yeah.
nice.
Yeah. So you mentioned that Frank is your number 1 manager of the week. Let's talk about 2 and 3. Who do you got at 2 and 3 for this week, Jay?
I'm going to put Josh Haber 2 for
Mm-hmm.
the overall score. And especially because of the fact you're talking about somebody who was in the championship a year ago, and everything he had to do leading up to this long week, addressing his bullpen when he lost all those pieces. He maneuvered quick. He went to the wire quick. He made that trade with his brother. And believe me, like I said, I played his brother. Evaldi balled out, and Josh still put up beast numbers from his pitching. So Josh
No
is 2. And 3, I mean, I don't know. I want to give it to Cody. I want to give it to the Shark, because
Good call.
to come out the gates, to beat a playoff team, we talked about it. I mean, that's really impressive. Find a cheat code quick with Flemings. All those things are very impressive to me, and makes a trade and kills it on the wire. Cody, for me, is 3. I heard what you guys all said. I appreciate you, Jason and Ben, all giving 1 to me. I do appreciate that. And I know the numbers there, whatever the final score was, it was certainly much closer than the final score dictates when it comes to what I did against Mike this week. But I do appreciate all of you because of my time off and what have you going up against the champion. But yeah, I give it Frank, I give it Josh, and then I give it Cody.
Guys, you heard it here first, and you've heard both ends. We are going to dive into week 2 now, 1 week at a time. I love having you on this show, this replacing Mike Haber this season, Jay Ferraro. We are very excited to have you a part of this team, and we are looking forward to what you bring to the table this year. Thanks so much for being here, man.
No doubt. You know how much I appreciate it. And Joe, the Soto bomb was impressive. We love seeing Soto's first bomb. But Joe, tell everybody about that Anthony Volpe poke, though. That was a
Dude,
poke.
that was a deep shot to left center, and it only went like 388, but like that felt like a nuke off the bat.
Line drive.
Yeah, yeah, very nice. And Stanton had a couple of hits. Like he isn't dead. He's not quite dead yet. He had a couple of doubles. It was really nice. It was a good game. It was a really good
And
game.
Verdugo started hitting against you this week.
Of course he did. Of course he did. He had a bad week this week. I was hoping to have a better pitching week against Josh, considering that he had the really good pitching week this week. So that'll be where I'm focused this week. Little spoiler alert for next week. We'll see if I'm able to do that. We'll see what happens. Thank you guys all for being here. Thank you so much for listening. And if you're not following us on YouTube, what are you doing? If you're not following us on Spotify or Anchor, or I think we're on Amazon Music and iTunes as well. Like, if you guys aren't using these platforms to how they're supposed to and let you know when we upload new content, what are you guys doing? And if you haven't already given us a 5-star review on some of those sites, go ahead and do that. We'd appreciate the hell out of that. But until next time, guys, it's been real. It's been fun. It is always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you next time.
Cody's a shark.